Welcome to the Talking Shop podcast. I am not Josh. Josh is absent. If you saw the thumbnail for this episode, he is hopefully getting as tan as me
He's on island time.
at the beach. Yes, he is on island time. So we missed you, Josh. He does have a link, so he may pop in. Now, if he's on the beach, we'll just kick him out immediately. So it's just going to be me and Jacob. It's Cobb. You can find him on IG and YouTube. Check his channel out. Always good stuff there. My name is Michael at Medium Rare Cards. Jacob, you got a rundown for me?
I do have a rundown. So, like you said, Josh is out. So, we're going to do a special AMA episode of the Talking Shop podcast. We're going to kick things off talking about patches spotting during WrestleMania, something I love, something you don't care about. Lindor's glove filled with vintage card heat, and a Pedro Pascal Star Wars auto that has us reaching for our wallets. Then it's on to your questions. We're going to dish on hobby regrets, weirdest cards worth real money, wild conspiracy theories, and the craziest thing that's ever happened behind the scenes of the pod. As always, we'll tell you what's new in the shop. Michael, do you have that this week?
No. There's probably
crazy stats.
There's probably some unopened boxes that are new in the
shop. So you check the Instagram.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go to Beckett right now and look at that release calendar and let you guys know what's releasing this week. Whether or not it's in the shop, you guys are going to have to come there and find out. So
exactly, that's the incentive.
Yes.
So, Michael, how was your weekend?
It was Easter weekend. Here in Charlotte, you couldn't have asked for better. It was just beautiful. It was a beautiful Easter weekend. Really important to me and my family, so I got to spend it with my family and played a little golf. And it was just a good weekend. Not a lot of hobby stuff, but a good weekend. How about yourself?
Well, my family went to the lake. I did not. Some of us have to be responsible, so I stayed home, take care of anything that needed to be done. And it was WrestleMania weekend as well as Easter. So I was pretty locked up Saturday and Sunday. Not going to lie.
So WrestleMania spans over 2 days?
Now it does, yeah. Well, so it's kind of a whole ordeal now. It's like Friday, you got SmackDown Live. Then after SmackDown, you have the Hall of Fame. Saturday morning, you have NXT's pay-per-view, which started at like 11 o'clock, I think. And there's like there's a pay-per-view there. 3-hour pre-show. Then Mania Night 1 on Saturday. And then Sunday is Mania Night 2.
So does everything build? And we are going to tie this into a story here a little bit, but does it build to that second night, or is the main event going to be Saturday night?
It's basically just a way so people don't complain that their favorites aren't on the show. That way you have all the champions on the show. I think all of them are on the show except for one this year. The build really starts beginning of the year, end of January. And then night 1 and night 2 don't have really any crossover except for like talking about stuff on night 1. Except for last year, there was a match on Saturday night that dictated the rules of a match on Sunday night. So that was pretty fun.
Hello, Dylan Dixon. Thanks for joining us. Unfortunately, we are not going to open cards. We're only going to talk about them. But if you're opening cards, let us know what you're opening. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, so what else you got for us in this opening rip? Speaking of WrestleMania, sorry, I was not looking at my notes. Got to work on my segue.
The patch cards.
Yes.
So you got started doing the MLB patch or debut patch cards for baseball, and I'm like, that's kind of cool. I don't know anything about baseball, but I do know a little bit about wrestling. If you guys haven't picked up on that yet, and they did the WrestleMania patches on the attire or on the gear, so it was fun throughout the whole night. Because in baseball, it's just on the sleeve. It's either right or left. I don't remember. But here, you kind of had to look for it. and it had to be where people could see it, but he didn't want it to be just like an obnoxious little square. Pretty fun trying to find them all night long. And most of them were at the back of the pants, as you see on the picture there, or a lot of people put them on a boot or maybe an entrance coat, something like that. So
Yeah, I was speculating on where these things were going to be because, like you said, they're on the sleeve in baseball.
see if I can find another picture.
Yeah, or like maybe the middle of the back in baseball, and that's the only sport that's had them so far. I think soccer maybe, but there it is, middle of the back. Yeah, I was just this is my ignorance about wrestling is I just assumed that they had to hide these things, not really hide them, but put them in a place where they're not getting grabbed and ripped off during the match. That's what I was thinking. So the boots would work. You said on their their outfit coming in, maybe.
Yes, and actually, I didn't realize this. One of the wrestlers took a photo of himself during the match, and which it has nothing to do with him. But if you see on Priest's right leg over there, and like halfway up the thigh
Oh,
is where his patch is.
I see it right there.
So it was kind of fun just trying to figure out where those were. And
Did you see any of these? Did you see any of these live, or they was just moving too quickly?
There were a couple that I did not see, and I still have no idea where they were. Like somebody posted one was found this morning for like the first time.
Oh, I see.
So that was kind of fun. And then
oh my goodness. Hold on. Breaking news. Breaking news. Oh my gosh. Here
Don't
we
mind
go.
don't mind me, boys. Just Surfside here. Had a minute to pop on. Make sure y'all were being family friendly.
always.
We've had this episode we've had to have the 30-second delay because Jacob would not stop dropping F-bombs on your podcast, Josh.
What can I say?
So it's been awful. So Josh is, if you guys are just tuning in, like just listening, if you're catching this on the recording, Josh is rubbing salt in a wound right now because it's thunderstorms and raining here, and Josh looks like he's sitting in front of a postcard.
It didn't look like this morning. It did rain this morning and it was cloudy half the day, but it turned into a great day so far. So
well, Josh, thanks for dropping in. But
Yep.
go be on vacation.
Yep, gotta go tend to the fam, but just wanted to say hi. Peace out, Grand Slam Nation.
We'll see ya.
Bye.
Well, that
And
was
then
nice.
they did the Raw and SmackDown debut patches. They announced that over the weekend. So when people, like I was telling you in the pregame, people show up for the first time on Raw from like training or NXT or another company. They get the Raw debut patch. I'm assuming we're probably going to see a couple pop up on Friday as well. So that's pretty cool.
That is. So you were mentioning that you said, I think, end quote. Well, not really a quote, but paraphrase that the Tops Now stuff is just taking the Panini Instant stuff to the woodshed. Like it's not even close.
Yeah, it's pretty insane the difference in. I don't know about quality because I haven't ordered any of them, but just visually alone, like I said before on here, I don't care too much about the card. It's more so how the card looks. But I like that card blown up like an 8x10 or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're killing it with the photography.
So you haven't pulled the trigger on any of this Tops Now stuff?
I haven't. I don't have good luck, and that's kind of what you need.
What is the card? What is the card coming out of this? What was the match that was featured that will drive some Tops Now print runs?
I mean, is there anybody that can really contend with John Cena?
Wow, that's pretty cool.
His 17th title now holds the most championships or world championships in history, beating Ric Flair's record. And for the first time in like 20 years, he's a bad guy. So a lot of cool things cooking this card up to be pretty cool. But I did show you. Go ahead.
Now so this is the 1 of 1 I guess, match worn. But will he have a WrestleMania patch as well?
Yeah, everybody had a patch.
Okay.
His was on his I don't know if you know, he comes out and holds that little towel up.
I don't know anything
on the
about
towel.
this. Yeah. On the towel. Okay.
But obviously you got the cool parallels with it, and then I'm guessing this is an image variation. So that was pretty cool. And then one other one I want to mention is just based off photography. Oh no, there's two if you don't mind. Based off photography alone, the Dominic Mysterio looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's just a cool photo. And then this one here is actually pretty cool because the guy on the left is not a WWE contracted wrestler. He's actually with another company.
Oh.
Did like a guest appearance. They did like a little like
collab.
Kind of like over the tail end of last year. So like their talent would show up on WWE would show up on their show, and he is their world champion. So Randy Orton had an open challenge. Whoever wants to come out, boom. This guy's music hit. The crowd went crazy. So because in like the action figure world, we've been speculating like since they have a media agreement for like merchandise and stuff, can they produce collectibles? They had a T-shirt of this guy with WWE branding during the whole week at the Superstore or whatever, and now he has a card with his name on it, but no mention of. I don't think there's any mention unless it's on the back of TNA. Well, yeah, TNA World Champion on the back.
There you go.
So I don't know. That's kind of cool because it gives me hope for other collectibles with that partnership.
It's a little crossover action there.
Exactly.
So, as a collector in the wrestling space, would you rather have that John Cena 101 match worn, or would you rather have the patch, the WrestleMania patch?
I'd rather have the patch because Matt relics are just boring for the most part. Because like they have like 5 or 6 mats that they go through a night. They pull them off in between matches. So could it be? Could it not be? But I guess you could say the same thing for the patch, technically. But that is Cena's last WrestleMania ever.
Oh,
so it's a patch.
Hanging up the boots. Hanging up the boots.
Yep. He announced it last summer. This was his last full year wrestling and never again.
Yeah, Ed, we're running it back on Tuesday. Josh is on vacation, and so we decided to go rogue.
Took some liberties.
Yes. Not only Tuesday, but an evening podcast. We miss our nighttime crowd. All right, what else we got in the opening rip?
The opening rip. I'm going to throw this one over to you because you know a little bit more about it than I do.
Well, this came across and I just thought it was cool, right? So if you guys are just listening, this is from Topps. It says Francisco Lindor, the shortstop for the Mets, uses a baseball card glove. And this was to honor Jackie Robinson. We talked about Jackie Robinson last week, but it looks like he's taking some images from famous Jackie Robinson baseball cards, and he's got them plastered all over his glove. I saw this and I said, we need to show this on the podcast just for the cool factor.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, super cool. Now, I don't know that this looks like a collab. Can you make out who the manufacturer of that glove is?
Rawlings.
Can you see that? Is it Rawlings? So I guess it's a Topps Rawlings. What would be sweet is if they took versions of this glove, or not versions of this glove, maybe replicas of this glove, had Lindor sign them, and possibly put them out there, maybe serial number them, maybe 10 of them. I think that'd be cool. Yeah. So, yes. What else?
What else we have was MLB prospect has the most baseball name ever.
I literally cackled when I saw this guy's name. Now, before you hit the arrow. So, this is from Topps. And the headline is, this MLB prospect has the most baseball name ever, which doesn't make any sense. But it shows this guy from the Reds, and behind him are 3 players. Ichiro Suzuki, Robinson Cano, and I don't remember the last guy.
Shame.
I know.
I just
Now,
knew
if you
Ichiro.
scroll over to the next slide, you'll see the guy's name. There we go. His name is Ichiro Cano Hernandez. I can't make this stuff up. And it just says, yes, this is his real name. So that's why he said that the caption is he's got the most baseball name ever.
Do you remember my theory about a month ago
No.
about Bowman?
What's your theory?
Everyone that says my first Bowman Aldo is the one out of
Oh,
150. I'm not crazy. Sometimes I'm not crazy.
I think you've hit on something here, and it is. If you're just listening, we're looking at Ichiro Cano Hernandez's first Bowman. It's got the "My First Bowman" inscription, and it's the blue refractor, 1 out of 150. Jacob, you're onto something.
It's a pattern.
You're onto something. It is.
I try.
All right, what's that last story in this opening rip?
An actor that you and I both like, even though I haven't seen anything. I just like the way he carries himself.
Yeah.
Pedro Pascal, Star Wars Aldo.
Yeah, so just play this video. This is in a break, and this was a product that we were talking about. Look at this card. It is Pedro Pascal's. It's out of 10 out of Star Wars Masterwork. Holy mackerel. What a hit on card. You couldn't have timed this any better. This guy's going to be everywhere. He's playing what's the guy in Fantastic Four?
Oh no, Reed Richards.
Reed Richards. It's about to launch in July. This is
The Last of Us, the season 2 is playing right now, isn't it?
He is. Let's just say Pedro Pascal's on about a 5-year heater right now. So
Yeah.
unbelievable pull.
If that's what the out of 10 looks like, I can't wait to see what even lower parallels look like.
Yeah, beautiful card. Ed, he's asking, I'm sure the players choose to do it, or maybe not, depends on who gets the memo. Ed, are you talking about the blue refractor inscription? I'm assuming you are. But I like Jake.
Talking about the inscription, yeah, I'm sure they choose to do it. I'm talking about you can't. I'm not gonna say you can't. I haven't found one that has my first Bowman that's not the 1 out of 150.
Oh, yeah, but you know what? You know the saying. If you look hard enough, you'll find it. You'll find what you're looking for.
I want somebody to find it.
Yeah. So let's move on to new in the shop. Now, Josh, when you watch this back, you may not have half of these.
You could have popped in then.
I just sent you the link to the Beckett release calendar. Let's just take a look at that. There are some notable releases. It is odd talking before release day. For a while now, we've been talking on release day. So we're actually giving a bit of a sneak preview here. So it looks like tomorrow, April 23rd, we've got Topps Heritage Baseball. Josh and Grand Slam of Rock Hill. They are a top store, so I'm not sure how much of this stuff he ordered, but I'm sure he's got plenty. So go out there, grab a box or boxes. I love Heritage. The Chase and Heritage is the real one autos. They're in red ink. They're on card. They're hand numbered. They're pretty cool. Another release this week is 23-24 Topps Motif Basketball.
That card looks cool.
It does. It sort of reminds me of like Inception or some artwork. So,
it's like paint splatter to me.
Absolutely.
Well, it's called splatter signature. Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, there you go. Also this week, we've got Donruss Optic Football, which releases tomorrow. We've got game used hockey coming up. Big release. We will probably talk about this in depth. In fact, I know we will. One of my favorite releases of the year, 2025, Bowman Baseball. Look for that episode. We're going to take somewhat of a deep dive, take a look at the prospects, the new inserts if they have them. So that is what is releasing this week. And follow us on the socials. Josh is really good about posting what's on the shelves there. And I think right now it's time for the promo. Hit us with the promo.
Are you looking to get your cards graded? Well, here at Grand Slam, we've simplified the process of submitting and getting a card graded. All you have to do is drop off your cards and kick your feet up, while our transparent tracking ensures that you are up to date with every detail along the way. When you log into our website, you'll immediately be greeted with each card in the grading process, along with where it's at in the process and its final grade. And with over 1,000 submissions and some of the top cards across the country being submitted through us, we have become a well-trusted source to handle and submit your cards. So you can do more collecting and leave the chore of grading to us. So don't sit on grading your cards. Get them submitted today at Grand Slam, where grading's made easy.
Wow, you just cut that off. I enjoyed that. I like that music. It's like an
It
earworm.
went on for about 10 more seconds.
You know what has been nice? My co-host not freezing up during the episode. It's very nice. I had to take a shot at you, Josh. You're not here. I mean, come
Wait
on.
until we went here.
Oh, and then you froze.
It happens.
I couldn't have planned that. I couldn't have planned that any better. All right. So what I did was I compiled some questions that may show up in the chat, may have shown up in the comments that we just never got to. So, and if you're listening, if you're tuning in, I see some of you guys are out there. If you've got a question for Jacob and I, go ahead and put that in the comment section, and we will get to it if we can. So, what's that first question we got, Jacob? Up, and you're muted.
What is the dumbest card you've ever seen that's somehow worth a ton of money? You can make this argument for a bunch.
There's a lot of dumb cards out there worth a lot of money.
I can't think of one in particular, but while you're thinking, one that's kind of topical and it'll play into a question later. Travis Scott was doing those Cactus Jack boxes with Topps Chrome, and people think, because they were selling them at WrestleMania for $400 for 8 cards, roughly $50 a card, right? The problem is when you open it, majority of those cards are not worth even remotely close to $50. Maybe about $20 just because it's hard to get. Yeah. Maybe. No guaranteed auto. And I see people taking just D-tier talent, not because of them, just where they are on the card, and trying to get like $70 out of them. And I'm like, okay, you do you. Can't think of anything specific, but that's topical.
Yeah, I think for me, we've been doing this podcast now for a little over 3 years. So when we started, we were still like in the wake of the COVID boom of the hobby. And if you look back at some of, especially on the basketball side of things, the money that was spent on kids. Like, I know that kids get NIL deals now, and there's a lot of money there. But when you look back in 2020, 21, 22, when Panini was still, it was before Topps had announced that they were getting acquired by Fanatics, and they were still sort of the top dog because Prism really drove the market. Oh my gosh.
And with, what was it? Is Prism, I don't know, when is it a release for basketball?
For,
because I know
basketball,
with wrestling, it was like March.
Yeah, so they never caught up, right? You'd like to see, like, Topps has been really good. Opening day is around, their releases are around opening day, and you start getting those rookies. But for a long time, Panini was so far behind. Basketball would start in October, and we wouldn't get Panini basketball until like March. And football was even worse. So, why? Why do you ask?
I was just wondering if that could have if it released around like March or April when things went a little crazy, if that could have played a factor into people just kind of bored,
No, it was a bit of a perfect storm. Like, go back if you are a Card Ladder subscriber, you can go back and see the height of Zion Williamson, and just to think how much money people lost on that kid. He's a good basketball player, but you want to talk about hype. He was it. And so, yeah, I don't want to call anybody dumb, but some of those cards are dumb.
Josh isn't here. You can say what you want.
I'm going to deflect to somebody who's listening and chiming in. Ed is chiming in. Allen and Ginter weirdness. Sure, some of those hot dog and X-ray cards are worth something. Are any of them numbered? That's a great question. The only thing that sticks out in my head about Allen and Ginter that is worth stuff, like worth money, wasn't there like a dinosaur card, and there was a piece of a fossil in one of these?
Not a real fossil.
No,
there were some that not from anything specific.
Oh no, I think these were legit.
Oh wow.
And like Josh famously has talked about this card where it was like a hair. It was like leaf DNA or something. And there was like a hair from Benjamin Franklin. That's weird. That's not so much dumb, but weird.
That has a lot more value than a peanut butter and jelly sandwich insert.
Yeah, that's the X-ray cards. Yeah, Ed. Yeah, some of those cards are worth some money. But that being said, I do love Allen and Ginter. I'm a sucker for some artwork.
Some weird
cards. So not so much dumb, but weird.
They're different.
Yes,
they're very different.
What's that next question?
What's the one card or set you secretly regret hyping up?
So there's two sides to this, right? There's I regret hyping it up because it fell flat. And then there's I regret hyping it up because it took off and then got too expensive for me to buy. So I'm going to throw it back to you, Jacob. Do you have any examples of these for yourself?
Nothing off the top. I'm trying to think of what I've hyped up. I like wrestling cards. That's a personal preference. I know they're not anywhere near the other stuff. I like Lorcana, and it seems to be holding fairly well.
Yeah.
I don't know. Huh. I had to think about that one. How about you?
Yeah,
you had two sides of it, so that means you got two answers.
Yeah. I feel like I talked about Star Wars Galaxy Chrome when it first came out, and I think I bought 4 boxes of it. It's the most I've ever purchased of one product, and I just kept going back to the store for it. And Josh didn't carry it, so I went to another store. Shh, don't tell him. Don't tell him. But at that point, I think it was 2021, Star Wars Galaxy. They were going, and they were only $99 a box.
Ooh.
And then I started talking about it. And this was before the podcast. I just started telling people about it. And then you couldn't find it. And then you couldn't find it for under 300.
Was there any Star Wars hype at the time? I mean, I can't
remember. It was very quiet. It was a very, very quiet release. Very quiet release in a local shop here near me. Carries some quirky stuff. And so that was quirky. I was like, "Oh, this is cool." They had packed out a box. They really weren't taking it seriously, and it ended up being to
You
me,
were.
yeah. And for me, it ended up being the product of the year. I was like, it was just beautiful. So I always look forward to that release. And then I guess a product or a card that I sort of hyped up, but sort of fell flat. And it's still early because the World Cup is
Hold
not
on.
here yet. It was Prism World Cup 2022. And I just thought that it was going to be this thing and boxes were going to be worth thousands. And maybe it was because it was in Qatar, and maybe because people are just waiting for the World Cup here, but it never really took off. I mean, there's some monsters in there, but
Didn't you say to like get some and hold until the next World Cup?
yeah,
I think I remember that. I could be thinking
absolutely. I mean, that's the play, right? And you'd still have to be really long on it. But I just thought because of just how hot soccer got, that it would have found a spike before the World Cup, and it just never happened. In fact, some of those, if you look at the prices of those boxes, I believe they just stabilized and then they slowly dropped. Now you could probably see them start coming up with the next World Cup coming, but look out. I mean, that that event, I think, will keep the printer running over at Panini, is the World Cup. They're going to need something. Ed's chiming in. Thank you, Ed. So 2020 Bowman, is that something that you had hyped up that you regret? And he's got some follow-up. Beginning of Brooklyn and for many people, the Breakers surely did their job back then to hype up 2020. Yeah, and if that was their job to hype it up, that was the easiest job they ever had, because you just really didn't need to hype it up. So, but yeah. All right. What's that next question?
You have $1,000 to spend on only the weirdest cards in the shop. What are you buying? Now, do you want to play this as in Grand Slam, or you go in a place and it has any box or any card from the last couple years?
So I would start in Grand Slam, but that's not fair. Grand Slam turns over their showcases so often that I couldn't call out a card that I saw there that's probably there now.
No.
So it would have to be just from memory of a card maybe that I saw that's not there anymore, or that may be there, but I have no clue. There's a shop about 30 minutes from me. And do you know the movie? And this is just a single card. We'll go to some other products. You remember the movie Bull Durham?
I think so.
Who's in Bull Durham?
Couldn't tell you that. The name is
So it's a Kevin Costner movie. It's a baseball movie.
That's how I know it.
So, there are autographed cards of the actors and actresses from that movie. And one of them is like Susan Sarandon. And there's a shop, a local shop that has her auto from that set. And it's like, is that thing for sale? And it's just a display piece. I don't think they're going to sell it, but yeah.
That's no fun. Anything's for sale.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Look. So, Ed's saying classic. Tim Robbins, which, Tim Robbins has been in everything. He was in the original Top Gun. He was Shawshank Redemption. He was in that show Silo. Very underrated and very good. So how about you? Weirdest for $1,000. Weirdest cards in the shop.
I'll give you two. I'll give you weirdest And I'll give you most desired. Weirdest would have to be, I think it was about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. Josh had Leaf Artifacts of History or something wild like that. I like that stuff.
Yeah.
I think having something from history to me would be a lot cooler than having an autograph of a guy that could go downhill next month.
Right.
That's just me. I think that'd be pretty cool. And they were like $600 or $700, and he couldn't keep it was a trade night at the shop, and he could not keep them on the shelf because people would open one, see it was pretty much guaranteed value, and then somebody would go buy two. And I'm like, I don't have the pockets that these guys have. I'm gonna watch and listen. So that would probably be the weirdest thing. Most desired would have to be if Josh managed to get his hands on one of the, because I would have to have throwaway money in order to get one. One of those Cactus Jack boxes, just for the dumbness of it, or the Disney 100 Topps Chrome set.
Yes,
because those are like $1,300. So I'd have to add a little on top. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah.
But I really want one of those, and I'm just not spending $1,300 on something in general, but especially that.
Enjoy your dinner, Ed. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, I mean, for product wise, I remember seeing this when I set up in Nashville. Some guy was selling 2020 boxes of The Decision. And knowing what I know now, I should have bought every single one of them, because a guy named Donald Trump was signing autographs for that product. And those boxes are probably bananas right now.
I opened up a bunch of those because they were stupid cheap on Whatnot. And I was selling like wrestling cards. And then we had a good group of people in there. It's like, you guys want to do something dumb? We'll just open these up. Nobody buys anything. We'll just watch it. And I pulled a Don Jr. auto, and I was like, oh.
Nice.
That and
Nice.
some random like congressman or something.
Yeah.
Like, this is wild. Something crazy. And even with like the history ones, there's nothing in particular I would want from it. I would want the thrill of getting something random from history.
Oh, just off the wall, right? That you could say it's literally a one of one. Like,
Of
you're
course.
not going to see any of that. All right. What's our next question? How many more did we have here?
This one and one more.
Okay.
What hobby conspiracy theory do you kind of believe? What you thinking? Loaded boxes, or
No,
certain
I
box-
think
well,
I what's the statistic or the conspiracy about how many cards that are slabbed by any of the graders that are actually either fake or trimmed? Like, isn't there a statistic? Maybe it's the trimming part or doctored up, that they actually got through authentication and they're trimmed. And
you mean people sending in purposely altered items to see if they can pass through PSA?
Yeah.
Not PSA, anybody.
like, let's just say 10,000 get sent in that are trimmed. How many of those are making it through? How many trimmed? The percentages, especially of some of these vintage cards that are pressed, soaked, pressed, dried, and trimmed, that are getting slabbed.
That's terrifying.
I mean, they're doing a million 1.2 million cards a
And
month.
they're not doing it well. Something's got to slip through. There were people a couple years ago that were sending fake sneakers through an authentication app, and we're getting through, no problem whatsoever. I was like, yeah. You could tell a big quality difference on something like that, and then a card, like you can go get a printer if you really want to.
Yeah,
That's pretty crazy. I didn't know anything about that, but that does get you thinking.
that, and then how many of these cards that are on the market have been backdoored. Like walking out of the back door of Panini or Topps Fanatics. Like, you know, Brian from Quality Control is grabbing some proofs and sneaking them in his He-Man lunchbox on his break and getting out of Topps Fanatics or Panini with those cards and then putting them on the market.
I don't know.
It's not like they're going to be treating these places like Fort Knox, right?
You see it happen at Walmart. Why can't it happen at Topps or Panini?
I mean, you don't see people. Correct me if I'm wrong. If anybody knows, like what the security is like at Topps Fanatics or Panini. I mean, is it like thumbprint, retina scan? Like you got Tom Cruise coming in there and trying to break in, like Mission Impossible. Like it's impossible to get in. There's no way. There's no way. They're printing images of dudes on cardboard. They could not have this place on lockdown.
Or is it one of these numbers here?
Yeah, you just exactly. I mean, so
Can't be that hard.
How about you're gonna forget about that card? It's gonna be funny.
No, I can feel it for sure.
So, like, how about you? What is a conspiracy out there that's been rolling around your head that you're like, it's probably true?
I don't know. Like I don't want to say, because you put a couple in the notes of like possible things, and I'm like trying to relay those back to something. Like I remember, I'm gonna tie this into wrestling again, shocker. To hype up them getting the license back, they sent a bunch of wrestlers to hobby shops to open boxes. And a lot of big cards were pulled on that night for Rib Night. And I was like, if you want to have somebody pull a big 101, do you want Michael pulling it? Or do you want like The Miz or Drew McIntyre pulling it? I'd rather you, because it'd be local, because they didn't send anybody to the Grand Slam. But other than that, it'd be pretty cool to see a wrestler. You know what I mean?
But who's setting this crap up? I mean,
Well,
are they
if it's Topps product and Topps is sending them,
so like
quacks.
So like you see these magicians, right? That pull cards, like a playing card from like the middle of a basketball or something, and it's got the person's name on it, or a hat, right? But that illusion was set up months ago. They went to the basketball manufacturer, gave him a playing card, put it in the basketball, and it's all set up, right? So do they go to like a magician or an illusionary expert and say, how do we pull this off? What, and make it look like it's real?
Sleight of hand.
It's got to be, right?
I don't know. So we're in a world now where there are too many coincidences. Things are a little weird sometimes, and that's one of those, like, not saying something's up, but if you did tell me something was up, I'd be like, that checks out.
Yeah. You wouldn't be shocked or surprised. If
that makes sense.
Is all.
Oh, they got a loaded box. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't. I'd
loaded
them
box.
a loaded box.
Now
too.
Josh does not buy into the conspiracy that big breakers get loaded boxes. But this is different from what you're saying. You're saying these celebrities or high profile folks that are pulling.
Why wouldn't you?
Cards.
I mean, you're not. They're not. They weren't sending like. Okay, not saying they were sending anything, but it's not like people were pulling 1-of-1s. They were pulling like really big cards out of 10, out of 5, something like that. So the chasers are still there. It could just be a coincidence. I don't know. I'm not the guy for it. I'm the one that knows the least amount about cards on the podcast.
Yeah, that's the guy that pulled like 21-of-1s 2 years ago.
That's besides the point.
Why?
I pulled 1 in the shop.
Yeah, that's
2 in the shop.
Those who
might
live
have
in
to now
those
would
who
be-
live in glass houses should not throw stones. What's that? What's that last question? Before we wrap
The
up?
last question is: what is the wildest thing that has ever happened during the podcast recording that listeners had no idea about? I don't know about on your end, but I usually have the occasional dog flare up.
Oh yeah,
I
especially
just
when
saw
we're
your
doing
dog
one.
tail walk in.
Yeah.
Mine just started whining in the kitchen.
Oh yeah.
Josh has the phone ringing all the time.
Yeah, my dogs, they are protecting us from the universe, the breezes and the leaves that cross in front of the house. So yeah, other than the occasional dog bark, nothing really during the podcast. Now we have some spicy discussions in the pregame that I wish we had the camera rolling then, because then we'd have more than 25 followers.
We have
Spicy.
35.
Exactly. Johnny S., what is up with you? Thanks for joining us.
We usually try and shake out all the nonsense in that like 15-minute period. And usually there's one of us when we say, all right, let's start recording. There's like start the intro. Somebody ends up having to do something during the intro. It's either me, you, Josh, popping off the camera and like, is he going to make it back for the intro?
Yeah. No, I think, if I feel like an offline conversation is appropriate for the podcast, I'll try to speak up and say, save it for the podcast. Save it for the podcast. But normally, in the flow of the podcast, it's gone. Like we never end up bringing.
Usually never pertains to cards.
No.
That's our the movie pod, that 15-minute period.
Yep. We talk about movies. We talk about food. We're just normal
Nonsense.
dudes. Yeah, nonsense. All right. Was that the last one?
Yes, that is.
So do you have, I know I don't have a crazy stat. Like you can count on that. But do you have a card? A card from the vault? A card from the hat?
Let's see what the card from the hat was. It was a foil JP Crawford. I don't know who that is.
What in the world?
I don't know why I have this, to be honest with you.
I don't know
anything
why you
about
have that either. What are you doing? Do you
But I
knock
do
over
have-
a card shop?
Random WWE Select box
Oh,
that's been sitting on my desk, and a Star Wars Chrome.
nice. Yeah, my desk is actually clean, so I don't have any cards. But well, guys, if you've made it through what we would say is a fairly successful podcast without Josh, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, leave a review. Let us know how we did and what you would like for us to continue doing and stop doing. And if you have any mean comments, please post those. We love those especially. Josh, we miss you. Jacob, thanks for taking some time out of your evening. I know both of us have a long day, but thank you. And guys, thanks for joining us. And we'll see you with Josh next week. Bye.